Join us each Saturday for the Justice is Here podcast, an innovative, revolutionary podcast that speaks to justice for all party members across America. We'll speak to leadership, we'll speak to activists, and most of all, we want to hear your opinion. So if you're tired of the two-party system and how it doesn't work for you, tune into this podcast to learn how we can take back the justice that we deserve. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 24th episode of the Justice is Here podcast. I am Tracy. I will let my guest introduce herself here shortly, but first we have a lot of bills to pay today, so let's jump off and start with them. Visit the Justice for All website at justiceforall.us. justiceforall.us. That is justiceforall.us. Hit that subscribe button. Subscribing helps us get the message about the Justice for All party out there. We are at 379, so we need 21 more for 400. But of course, we still need you to subscribe. Subscribing literally costs nothing to do. So hit that subscribe button, please. You can follow the Justice is Here podcast on TikTok. You can follow the Justice for All podcast on Blue Sky. You can also follow the Justice is Here podcast on Instagram. And mark your calendars, Saturday, August the 30th, 6 p.m. Join us for the JFA Fundraising-A-Thon. We will have special guests, entertainment, and learn how you can get involved to help the JFA raise $25,000. That will start at 6 p.m. It is 2 weeks away, so get your calendars marked and be a part of that special event. As always, help us to get 75 likes and 45 shares. As we stated at the beginning of the month, if you are interested in learning how you can volunteer, email Paris Sherman, our National Committee Chair at Cornell West, the number 4, President at Outlook. And there are 297 days until the JFA convention, which we were finally able to announce last week. We have a date, but it is 297 days until that great event takes place. And remember to always like, subscribe, share, and comment. And now I can have my guest introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Arvizu. I am a member of the National Committee of Justice for All. I am an intellectual property and technology attorney. And I'm also on the board of ICUJP, that's Interfaith Communities United for Justice and Peace. It's a multi-religious organization whose motto is religious organizations should not endorse war and violence. And we've had some nice shout outs from Dr. West in the past we're really proud of. And let's see what else. I also volunteer with Code Pink and Jewish Voice for Peace.
I am so glad to have you here. I'm always glad to have all my guests, but especially you, because I'm like, okay, let's get to this. So, as a first-time guest, I always start off from the very, 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 very beginning. Mm-hmm. What led you to support the West Abdullah ticket in 2024?
Well, I have not been a Democrat since August 11th, 2020. And I have always been disenchanted with the two-party system and the politics. And I just felt that we had to get rid of Trump back, in 2020. So I reluctantly held my nose and voted for the Biden-Harris ticket. But I also have a really great intuition, and I just knew we were heading for a disaster. And I think the turning point for me, though, was when Biden had made a campaign promise that he was going to get justice and hold Saudi Arabia accountable for the death of the murder of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi in the Saudi um, embassy, where he was butchered to death by, on later was learned by orders of the Saudi government. And he was a U.S. citizen and, journalist for the Washington Post. And I was just horrified by that. I've always had a special affinity as an attorney for the First Amendment and how our journalists around the world, protect our First Amendment and get the facts for us, get the truth. And, I was already, upset about, journalists being, killed by Russia and going, unaccounted for. And then this happened, and Biden made it a campaign promise, and he broke it. And, I made my mind up at that time, I will never support this man. And I was already, disenchanted with other Democrats, but that was the turning point for me that I could not support this this party. And then just the Democrats just exposed themselves after October 7th, and candidates that I still supported and liked, I was just horrified by the things that came out of their mouth in supporting Israel and dehumanizing Palestinians. That was the shocking part to me, and I knew I was done with it. And now Melina Abdullah, as she's an organizer with Black Lives Matter LA. I have been following her for a few years. She had a couple of radio shows, and I started to realize, especially after October 7th, how I was getting most of my news from her or Democracy Now! But the local news about what was going on in LA and what was happening to Black and brown people in LA, I was getting it from Melina or, the Black Lives Matter channels and networks. And I'm like, why am I not hearing about this? On main, even our local news channels here in LA, you're not hearing about the people who are incarcerated in LA County jails or dying or being harassed by the sheriffs. I've been harassed by the sheriffs. I live in a mostly white community, and I've been harassed, and I started to make that connection that, geez, these, Black Lives Matter and through networking with them, becoming involved with the Justice for All campaign. I'm like, these are my people, and these are my issues. So I became a little bit involved with the Justice for All California campaign. Didn't get too much involved in it, but we really tried to get registered in California. It was very hard. I think it was like they needed like 54,000 people to register for Justice for All. We didn't make that, and the state wasn't being cooperative with that. But through that, I just became connected to more like-minded people with me. And LA is a big town, and so we're not really close. I live in the very far north of North LA County. So it's not like I can always, go to social things that Black Lives Matter or other groups do that are more, toward central LA. But I have grown a new community and support group and made a lot more like-minded friends. I've gone through some of the fundraisers here in California and made some great friends. And through the party as well as ICUJP, it's we're an interfaith community that's based out of LA, but we have a lot of speakers, mostly, civic social leaders who are involved in local politics and social justice organizations. So we've been able to, to network and offer each other support through these really challenging times.
Thank you so much for that. That was a lot. That was a not that I appreciate all of it because I'm like, okay, I got this question, I got this question. You and you've never been a guest on my show. I tend to go on rants and I go on them. I don't know when they're gonna happen, but they just happen. So just be prepared.
That's fine. I've listened to some of your shows. It's great. Normally at this time, I also sing in a choir. So normally at this time I'm in rehearsals, but I was able to make this time. So feel free. Go ahead.
What I wanted to ask was election day. I don't know what it was I was smoking. I don't know what it was. I legitimately thought Dr. West was going to win. You couldn't have told me any different because I felt like, well, the country said they didn't want Biden, they didn't want Trump, so they were gonna just naturally vote for Dr. West. Of course, that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
After that election I just was not the person to talk to.
Yeah.
It was just like I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to quit. I'm tired because it's a lot of work to get people to vote outside the two-party system. Because what I find is people don't realize, one, if they vote at all, because we have a huge problem with people not even bothering to engage.
Mm-hmm.
But the people who do engage, they see no way out. They think you only got these two choices. And to educate people constantly be told, you don't have a chance. And I'm always like, well, we don't have a chance if you never vote for us. And it's just kind of like this circle thing that goes round and round and round and round. And that I did not think I was going to get depressed as I did.
Mm-hmm.
I was just tired. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I quit. Forget it. I'm done because I just felt like, you know what, Trump, do everything in Project 2025. I don't care anymore. And then something kind of woke me up and said, if I don't speak up, who will? Who's going to do it? If I just sit back and just watch stuff happen, there's something inside me, and I think it's inside of each of us in the committee that says, I can't just watch things and not do anything about it. Right? Whether it's speaking against Israel's attacks on Gaza, whether it's speaking against the military industrial complex, whether it's advocating for a living wage. It's hard for me to just sit back and watch bad things happen and just not respond. Now, I don't know if that's the case with you, but talk about like how can people take their this isn't right and push it in the right way and do something.
Push it in the right. Yeah, that's really hard. I think I had to, like I said, I have a really good intuition and I generally know how things are going to turn out. Now, that doesn't mean I'm a mind reader or I can make predictions or I'm a psychic. I just have a good intuition that how things are going to turn out for the best. And so the 2024 election, I thought that would be an election where people are just going to, they're going to have to experience themselves, whatever the outcome is. I was also surprised at the outcome because I actually thought Kamala Harris would win.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh. I'm sorry. I did not mean to laugh. Go ahead.
No, but I thought she would win because I thought a lot of people would be willing to hold their nose for her. Not that they, because that's what I was hearing anyway. I was hearing from a lot of people because who knew. I said there's no way in hell I could vote for her, and I sure as hell ain't going to vote for Trump. Now I'm out in California, so I didn't make too many people nervous saying that because California we have a super majority Democrats here. And the state was, obviously going to go blue. But so people weren't too nervous about some of us in California voting for a third party. I said, I'm going to vote my values, just like Melina said, vote vote your values. And I'm also an abolitionist like her. I think just is this this whole system has to explode eventually because we got these two parties that were built on racism. They were built on white supremacy, both of them, and this is what we get. And so I I re I gotta be in all honesty on after the election, the day after, when I heard the news, I actually breathed a sigh of relief for a little while because I thought that at least Trump told us who he was and what he was going to do. So at least the mainstream media would have to, cover it. I thought that the mainstream media under Biden and was covering up a lot of what was going on, and especially with like immigration and DACA and there were still horrendous conditions of immigrants at the border, and it just wasn't being covered. Once Trump left office, you didn't hear about the families that were separated under the Biden administration. That shit was still going on.
You mean that stuff?
That stuff was still going on. And I used to, I would be screaming till I'm blue in the face. They're still being mistreated. They're still being mistreated. Still horrible conditions. They're sleeping on floors. And it's still going on in our prisons. Too. And where is the coverage of this? So at least they would be covering that. Under Trump to show how evil he is. And now I didn't think Dr. West would win, but I still voted for him. And it really irritated me to hear even some people I respect to say, well, how could you vote for somebody is going to lose? And I'm like, because I can't vote for the other two. There's no choice. You're telling me there's a choice between the lesser of two evils? No, I'm saying there is no choice. For me, there's just no choice. They're both running under platforms that are just going to that are just going to perpetuate the racism and other dysfunctions that are going on in this country right now. And I remember too, I'm also a fan of Ralph Nader, who ran as a third party candidate. I listen to him as often as being an attorney. He comes from a legal perspective too, and he's really helped a lot of people in the legal community who have faced persecution for speaking up for Palestine, and people who are losing their jobs in their legal community, or students who are trying to get jobs and are being blacklisted. But he said that when he ran as a third party candidate, the exit polls showed that most people wanted to vote for him. And the exit polls showed that if they had voted for him, he would have got 47% of the vote in certain states. And I thought, well, that is, that's just tremendous. So maybe this isn't the year 2024 for third party candidates, But I was just so inspired when after the election, Melina posted on Instagram a West Abdullah sign for 2028, and I said, okay, I'm in then. This wasn't our year. Now we're going to have to live with what's coming. We know it's going to be bad. But at least from my perspective, I'm trying to find the silver lining. And, going through Trump 2.0 again, at least, what's the evil that he's going to do. It's going to be out. It's going to be out in the open. The media is not going to help cover this up.
Wow, you're a lot more optimistic than I was. I was just like, I'm done. I cannot. I got so tired of arguing with people. And I'm like, I was talking to people who would complain about the Democrats. Everything they said was true, but you're still voting for them. It was like I was was like I was running into a brick wall. I'm like, they're terrible. They're bought by big money. This. And you're still voting for them. Don't you realize that by voting for them, you can't vote the same way and expect different results.
Exactly.
Both parties have proven they're not going to do anything different. And it was just a point I just gave up. But kind of like you, I was relieved. And I was relieved for a different reason. I was like, this is going to open up people's eyes.
Yes.
Because the Democrats are going to be stupid. And boy, was I right about it.
Yes.
I mean, I hit that one. I don't hit them often because I said Trump was going to win his second term when he ran against Biden. I was wrong. But this one, I mean, I was like, okay, y'all really this dumb. They're concentrating on 2028. And my thing is, as a person that's struggling financially, I can't wait till 2028. I got to feed myself now. I got to eat now. I got to take my insulin now. I got to take my pump supplies now. I can't wait until, keep doing what you are doing, Democrats. Don't stop. Don't let me stop you. Just keep doing it because you're making my job easier.
Right. Well, the way I look at it, though, for third parties, I think we shouldn't focus on the base of either party about like luring over like Democrats. I think the solution is to focus on those who just don't vote, who are not even involved in this. That's a big chunk of people. And I think more people stayed home, the polls show, in this last election. I would guess those are mostly Democrats because Harris didn't get as much vote as Biden in 2020, so they lost.
It was because she was a woman in black.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of other reasons.
No, I'm being that was total sarcasm. Yeah. I'm just like that's total sarcasm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and she was working tirelessly around the clock to end the war in Gaza.
Oh, that was AOC was one of the politicians I lost respect for in that election because I was waiting for her to come out and say, okay, I was wrong. They fooled me. That's what they told me to get up there in front of the DNC and say. And when they didn't let a Palestinian speak, from the platform, but I was waiting for AOC to say, okay, they fooled me, won't get fooled again. I'm sorry, that I passed on their rhetoric and their false narratives, and she never did.
I'm going to give you a look that my mother used to give me.
Yeah.
Like, really? Really?
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's just the look I feel like I'm always wearing when I hear a Democratic politician speak. And this is what I'm going to move into justice for all here in just a moment. And remember, everybody, 297 days to go until our convention in Columbus, Ohio. I always have to remember Columbus, Ohio. But I wanted, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
We just got a whole show, but I can't talk about that because you're in a different committee. But when Dr. West, I got to always go backwards. When Dr. West first ran, I had this show called Congratulations to the 47th President of the United States, Dr. Cornel West. Justice
Mhm.
is Here is kind of the continuation of that show. And as I'm interviewing people, that's what's giving me the strength to go on. Because it was a couple people and I got to shout out the people in Arkansas who said, no, you should keep doing this. And I said, well, why? It's like we have no choice. And I feel like that's where we're at. We don't have a choice anymore. We have massive job loss, massive layoffs, people having 2 to 3, maybe even 4 jobs sometimes just to get by. The situation is so dire and so, it's just at a critical stage where it's not going to get better. You're talking about millions of people losing Medicaid with work requirements, such as Indiana. We have a work requirement now that was actually
Yeah.
ruled unconstitutional the first time, but hey, try it again. I wonder what it is about the justice for, that was a really bad way to get to the question I'm about to ask, but I'll ask it now. What was it that in your head said, I have to get to getting the justice for all party? I had to be involved in it.
Oh, it was definitely leadership with Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah. I mean, they're two people I really admire. I would always want to. I I was I was following Dr. West's campaign for a while, even before he nominated Dr. Abdullah as his running mate. And I thought, well, I was skeptical at that time about third parties, though. And I had, friends who were Democrats and saying, oh, no, he's going to be a spoiler in this election. And I'm like, well, I don't think, I don't think so. And, but I was just disillusioned with, like I said earlier, with Biden, and then how things were just going downhill with his administration. And so I would try as often as I can. The three people I would really listen to were, in social media, and on the radio. I listened to KBLA here in LA, Tavis Smiley's radio show. And so I would try to, follow like Nina Turner, Dr. West, and of course, Black Lives Matter. And just just hearing, Dr. West, talk on the issues and talk about honesty. And one of my big values is accountability. And you don't see that a lot in politics. Like I said earlier about AOC, if you make a mistake, if you acknowledge it, then you have credibility with me. If you don't acknowledge it and try to make excuses for what you did or what you said, even though you know it's wrong, you lose credibility with me. But Dr. West was always talking about how, people had, to speak honestly and speak up. Is, especially, as, um, the situation was getting worse in Gaza. And Dr. West was calling out some of the Black pastors, which I thought was very, very brave and bold of him, to do at that time. You say they're not speaking up about, what's happening to our Palestinian brothers and sisters. And Nina Turner was trying to keep the focus on the working people. And she's like, this Democratic Party, this my party, is not saying anything about the working. They can't even say working people. They can't even say poor people. They're talking about what they're going to do for the middle class. And so it was these, the fact that they were calling out the establishment and even Black people, which was really impressive to me, that they would do that. And so fast forward, it was like about this time last year, and Tavis Smiley came out with a book. And he had a book signing, and Dr. West had done the foreword to it. And so I went to the book signing, and Dr. West wasn't there, but I met Tavis Smiley Molina was there. She has a part in the book too. And I told Tavis, I love listening to your show whenever you have Nina Turner or Cornel West on. And then what happened a few months later, it was after the election, he had a show on KBLA with both of them on. So I like to say I take credit.
Well, you have to. You have to.
But that fact that they spoke truth to power, essentially was what brought me, on board. And like I said, I'm surrounded by Democrats. But who are threatening me about third parties and stuff. But I said no, I just can't do that anymore. And Dr. West is speaking my values. Jill Stein didn't speak my value. I didn't hear anything from her that inspired me or lit that light in me. But when Dr. West said something one time, he said, these politicians, they can't deodorize themselves and clean themselves up and move to the center. They got to keep the funk and stay, even if they offend people, they got to keep their funk and speak the truth. And that resonated with me. And yeah.
You said something about spoilers that I so disagree with. Mm-hmm. I say, if someone said that to me, if someone actually did say that to me, and I said, I hope he spoils everything. I hope he spoils the two-party system. I hope he spoils the military complex. I hope he spoils the fact that people don't have health care. Yes, please be a spoiler. That's what I want. I embrace it.
Yeah, I should use that answer there.
Because you know what? Yeah, good. Let them spoil it.
We're frustrated, and now I hear myself in my head saying, "Oh, well, let's just tear down." That was one of the reasons I could start to accept Trump. I said, "Well, he's just going to destroy this whole damn system, and yes, we'll have to live with fascism, but at least let him go through the trouble of burning it all to the ground, and then we can come together and build it back up."
I say we were already living in fascism under Biden, but that's just me.
Oh yeah, me too. I got to that point too, where I'm like, oh my God. The things that were going on, like he was sending weapons, not just to Gaza, but to Ukraine and to Taiwan, and not getting congressional approval. And I'm like, if that's not fascism, what is?
Well, look who's checked in. Our national committee chair.
Oh, Paris.
I appreciate you both for your dedication, commitment, and there you go, Paris, with them $5 words I can't get, but I'm gonna try this indefable spirit. JFA Party is better because of your contributions. Thank you for checking in. Appreciate you for tuning in.
He's a great leader. He's got so much patience, and he's good qualities I need to develop.
Yeah, don't you? Because I have none. I have zero. Let me tell you something. Everybody that watches this show knows I have no patience. I'm like, nope, I want it right now. I want it right now, this second. Give it to me. I don't want to work for anything. I just want to wake up and it be there.
Yes.
Boy, it doesn't take. It takes the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of that spoiler, oh yeah, spoiler. I hope he keeps spoiling it. And that's what I want. I want other people across the country to spoil it too.
Yes.
Right? I want people to run as a JFA candidate and spoil the system. And someone said this, and I'll never forget it. They asked, they said, when someone says, my light went on, I'm sorry. When someone says they're going to spoil it, how can you spoil something that's already rotten?
Exactly. Good point.
And I'm like, you know what? I like that one better than my answer. Because I'm like, yeah, hope he does spoil it. Ha, 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 good. But that one, yeah, it's because of media propaganda. Let's just be for real about it. The media trains people to think, well, there's only this answer and this answer. Well, there's literally, I think there were 100 candidates running for president. How come we only heard about 2? What was the difference between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump? They both fund wars.
Right.
They both take money from the oligarchy, the billionaire class.
Mm-hmm.
They both are against union rights. They even on issues where they are supposedly disagreement. And I would say this about abortion. Think about it, y'all. The Republican Party has always said we want to ban abortion. They have Trump in the White House. They have the Senate. They have the House, and they have the Supreme Court. How come there's have not one piece of legislation to ban abortion? It's a fringe issue that they use, and both parties do it to
Mm-hmm.
keep you donating to them. Stop doing it.
Yeah. And
Stop
DACA
it.
too. They could have passed DACA. They could have protected in. And when Biden left, he had king powers. The Supreme Court gave him king power. He could have used those king powers. He could have given amnesty to all immigrants. He
Right.
could have forgiven all student loans. He didn't do it. He could have, yeah.
He forgave 10,000, knowing good and well the COVID reason wasn't going to fly in the courts. Even the Republicans were saying, "Well, no, use the 1965 Act." Well, that was a strong argument, and they're like, "Well, we can't argue against that." No, he didn't use it because he didn't want to, and that's what we're trying to tell people: is they don't want to.
He could have expanded the Supreme Court.
He could have expanded the Supreme Court. Didn't want to do it. He could have. He could have, and people want to blame, Manchin and Cinema. And I'm like, no, they were just tools. They were just literally tools that the Democrats used to say, oh, look, they voted with Republicans. No, you know what the Republican Party's going to do. You know you have tools, and this was frustrating when you don't use what you have. That will frustrate me more than anything. I do not like when people have the ability, the tools. The Supreme Court has said, yes, you can actually do this. And you said, well,
gave him an 18-point list of things to do before he left office, and he didn't do
I'm
any.
still mad about the $2,000 checks that we never got. So I'm still ticked off about that. I'm like, dude, where are the checks?
Yep. Yeah, he was supposed to at least forgive $10,000 in student loans. He was going to at least do that much.
No, he said 50. Remember, it started at 50.
He started at 50.
He started at 50. Then it went down to 25.
He said he's going to do 10, but then he changed later. But
originally, he went down to he started at 50, but then it went all the way down to 10. I'm like, how did it go down to 10 like that?
Yeah,
because I remember him saying, I'm like, well, couldn't you just forgive it all? And this is another thing. It's like we have so much work to do because we have to educate the public because the media has just poured like all of these false narratives into people's minds. It's like, well, 10,000 is the best we can get. No. He has the ability to forgive all of them.
All those billions that are going to Israel, and they got free health care.
And free college.
Free health care.
And low cost college, not free college, low cost college.
Where you send money over there.
And yet I want to go to school and can't. Why? Because I have a student loan that's in deferment. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it shouldn't cost money for me to go to school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still paying on a student loan. It's just the interest. The interest is actually more than the principal.
It's like, at least, okay, if you're going to make me take a loan, at least let me pay on the principal, like the core what I took.
Right.
Well, you got to add all of this interest.
It's the capitalist system. The banks are just, making money hand over fist on the principal of these student loans.
And there's something else. I've been mentioning this, and I want everybody that's associated and affiliated with the JFA to listen to what my next question is, because it's a very important thing. I have never seen a time where Republican voters have been more upset with the Republican Party than I've seen now. I have seen some of those town hall meetings, and I'm like, oh my goodness, these people, and rightfully so, everything they're saying, I agree with. Conversely, I've never seen a time when Democratic voters are angry at Democratic legislators. I think this is the time for us to strike. We've got to strike now. We can't wait. And that's where my impatience kind of comes in. So I need you to talk me down, but then say I'm right at the exact same time.
Yeah, there is a lot of, people are seeing, exactly, what happens. Elections have consequences, and this is the results of their decisions. They, on the Democrat side, you have those who voted for a candidate. They said they held her nose, about why didn't you hold her account? Why didn't you say you're not going to get my vote unless you do this, this, and that? We just didn't see that from the Democrats before the election. They just automatically said they were. I remember on The View, Whoopi Goldberg said she was going to vote or for Biden's brain in a
Oh,
bottle.
no, she said if he was a corpse, she would still
Yes.
go for it. I remember that. I'm like, girl, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Then what incentive does he have to do to change course? And then, yeah, not even like the uncommitted in Michigan, some of them were saying, well, I'll still vote for Harris. But, I wish she would change her position on
Yeah,
guns.
those children in Gaza, they really, they don't mean really a lot. I mean, they're there and stuff, and they're getting killed, but I don't want Trump.
Yeah. So I just thought about it, and the polling was right. My intuition was telling me third parties, the Greens and Justice for All, we have to reach out to those who don't get involved in voting, who have not been voting. That's what the Republicans did actually back in 2016 when Trump reached out to people who didn't vote. They had to go, register to vote and then to vote for him. And I think we got to do the same. We got to reach out to those people who are just so disenchanted with politics or don't want to be bothered, but they're not happy either. They're not happy about rising, prices for gas and groceries and losing, their jobs and to, changing times and, so yeah, and you see the opening though, and I do have hope, and it comes from this community too, not just Justice for All, but the other groups that I'm involved with, that there is this sense of justice, that we have to keep the light of truth burning there. And we might not see, in fact, I emailed Melina today, and I said, because on the Black Lives Matter show today, they had the youth what they called the youth vanguard, that were leading the show, and it was just young people from on college, from different colleges, Howard and Cal State Channel Islands, activists who are going through a hard time right now, being persecuted really by the school administrations, but they're still speaking up for Palestine. They're still speaking up for immigrants. They're still trying to stay in school and work. And they're dealing, with a lot of oppression. And I said, they really give me hope, that I might not see the change I want to see in my lifetime, but these young people are out there doing the right thing and putting their careers, on the line, their diplomas on the line, speaking out, and they give me hope that ultimately, this world will go in the right direction.
Next question. That was well said. I can't even add anything to it. What committee are you on right now in terms of the national
Well,
JFA?
I'm on the rules committee, and I'm on the platform committee, and I want to be on the tech committee when that's going to be an ad hoc committee, about how we communicate with each other. But the rules committee, I know I've heard your opinion about the rules committee.
I was just like, you know what? This ain't for me. I already knew from jump. I'm like, you know what? There's these committees, rules, platform, membership. I'm like, nope. Put me on the convention committee. Nope. That's for me. I can do that.
Well, I got to tell you, the rules, it's very dry. It's
But
very
necessary.
It is
Necessary.
but necessary, and I think it really is the most important committee, because they're like the gatekeeper on process, and process is real important in organizations like this, like a party, a political party. And so we have really dedicated people here, I got to say, that are really committed and want to do things right, and actually read the documents. See, I'm as an attorney, a contract attorney, I don't go to court I work in-house for companies, and I'm reading long contracts, and so I'm reading the fine print. And so that's what I do good. I don't like doing it, but I'm good at it. And so when I've joined organizations and joined boards, I usually do go on like a governance committee, because I feel I'm really good at interpreting bylaws, interpreting charters, finding discrepancies, finding conflicts, and pointing it out too. Like, hey, we're doing things this way, but we should be doing things that way. So that's what I expected to do when I joined the national committee. That I expected to be that person that would read the fine print and say, oh, we should be doing things this way. And even though I don't like doing that, I thought, okay, well, I'll do it as long as I can. The Rules Committee is a huge, huge commitment, because we had to be the first ones to start going, once our bylaws and charter were finalized, to start making, the bylaws and for other committees to follow. So for other committees to work, we had to start meeting and coming up with these processes. So that's why I chose that committee. But I got to tell you, I am so impressed by the people on the broader national committee who are reading the chart and care what the charter says and care what the bylaw says, because I can't tell you how many organizations I've been involved with, and they're going on doing things and holding meetings and talking about stuff that's, it's out of the scope of even the board. And I have to be the one to say, excuse me, but we can't say, we don't have a say on this, or this is not the way we're supposed. I have to be the one pointing to the bylaws and pointing to a charter. But in this case, most of our members are really well versed in those documents, which are guiding documents for how we're able to, to keep a viable party, and establish a viable party and move it forward to do this great work of finding candidates that would run on our platform on the principles that we want to see in our communities.
Yeah, I did. I thought what I said was nice. I was being nice. I said, hey, everything is not for me. I
Yeah.
knew my temperament. I knew what I can do. I know what I can't do.
Yeah.
So I was like, no. I think I pretty much had said, no, I want to be I want to be in the convention. Now, me being chair of the convention committee, that came out of left field. But I think I called it from the jump. I was like, nope, I want this one. I want this one. Give me that one. Because I have a background in event planning. But for me, I never thought, if you had said to me when I first planned my first Medicare for All March 3 years ago, no, it was 4 years ago, I planned a Medicare for All March in Indiana, that I would be on a committee to plan a new political party. There's no way I would have thought that would have led to here.
Yes.
There's no way I couldn't have. There was no, I don't believe in psychic readings, but there's no crystal ball I could have looked in and said, oh, this is going to happen. I just thought, I'm just following the path and I'm just doing what I can do.
Right.
I'm here.
I didn't think so either, to be honest. I was so busy with my other, with my other groups, but I thought that it's something that has to be done, especially when I saw how hard it was to get on the ballot in California. And it's like, even in California, even if you write in someone, like Melina talks about how she always wrote in Angela Davis, I think I might have done that too at sometimes for president. They don't count it, because you have to go through a special process just to write in a candidate too. And so I thought, well, this two parties, it's so toxic. It has to go away.
But
And it's the only way that's going to happen if we bring in other parties.
here's the thing that I will always say to people say that, and that's a very excellent point. But here's what I would say: they always say, "Well, we want, especially the Democrats, they're good. This we want democracy." And then they act all anti-democratic. If they weren't so scared and so afraid of what third parties could do, they wouldn't work so hard to keep us off the ballots.
Yeah, that was just atrocious. When I heard about that, the millions of dollars they spent.
$20 million.
Oh, that is horrible. And you don't hear about that. I mean, you don't hear
It won't be reported on CNN, Fox, MSNBC, The View. They're not going to report it. I'm like, so you're telling me I'm a non-factor because I'm a third-party voter, but you're going to spend all of this money to keep my candidate off the ballot? Really? No, you can't tell me that third parties don't have impact. They do.
Yeah. They're scared of the truth. They're scared. They're scared that, of the message that our candidates have. And it's a form of suppression. It really is a form of suppression to me. Yeah, it's undemocratic. By trying to limit the playing field of candidates, you're taking away voting rights from people. Ultimately, that's the end result of that.
And if you really think about it, and I want everybody to kind of like on the fence, because I do know some people that when I talk to them about justice for all, they're like, it sounds good, but I always will ask, what has the two-party system done for you? Right? What one thing can you point to say this was a positive thing? I can't point to anything in the last 8 years. There's nothing that I can say. Even the little COVID stimuli, that wasn't enough. It should have been monthly. I forget what they call it, the tax break that parents were given for their children. That was only for a year.
Yes.
There's nothing that I can point to. And I would challenge people to ask, what have they done for me? How has my life been better? It hasn't been. Because
like I said, the accountability and standing in the truth are important values to me. And one big thing that really turned me off to the Democrat Party when I just added to more of the toxicity that I see there is when I learned that they had taken off their platform. This is why I'm on the platform committee now. The Democrats took off their platform in 2024, their opposition to the death penalty. And they did it secretly.
Hold on, they did what? I didn't even know this. You're telling me something. I had no idea they did that.
Yeah, it came out after the DNC, after their convention, that they had quietly removed from their platform any opposition to the death penalty. Why would they do that quietly? And
well, if they're the party that doesn't listen
to their platform is to say we're taking this out because
let them fry. That's what they say. I mean,
but why would they take
they
it out?
consistently do that? I mean, look, let's take a look. 87% of Democratic voters, not me because I'm not a Democrat. I don't want to be a Democrat. 87% of Democratic voters are for Medicare for all. Common sense would say, oh, put that in the platform. That's what the voters are for.
Exactly.
We're going to advocate for it. No, it costs too much. But sending Israel, what is it up to? 16, 17 billion dollars. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yes. Yeah, when they did that it's just a party. I just can't trust them. We can't trust them.
And it's always because I got this because I was black, and I was like, look, you're not gonna. Yes, Dr. West is black, so don't come at me. But Someone actually literally tried to tell me that I should vote for Kamala Harris because she's black. And I said, oh, no, wait a minute. I am voting for somebody who's black. And
Mhm.
he has a black running mate, and his name is Dr. Cornel West. So I don't know.
Yeah, you can't.
You
Yeah.
can't use, and this is what the Democratic Party does. It trips me out. And this is what I was like, I'm done. They use the pain of black people to
Mhm.
propel everybody else but black people. It drives me absolutely. I cannot. I cannot. It's
Oh,
just like,
yeah, I dealt with the same thing too. I mean, I'm not black. I'm multiracial, but I took a lot of attacks because I did not support from black women
oh
who.
yeah, I got it. Yeah, but
I'm
Lisa
like,
Warren
well,
called
wait a minute,
Aunt Jane, Uncle Tom. What else was I called? Stupid, uh,
though.
idealistic. I'm like, yeah, I got this idea. People shouldn't starve. How dare I?
Well, I mean, I had an answer for that though. I'm in California. I voted for Kamala Harris for Attorney General 2 times, and I voted for her for senator. Now, when she ran for as senator. She ran on a campaign promise to for justice for Mitrice Richardson, who was a young black woman who was found dead a year after she was released from the Lost Hills Sheriff Station, which is the sheriff station close to my house. The sheriff station is supposed to protect and serve me. Um, she was not going to investigate them as attorney general, but she then she ran for Senate, and she decided to take up an investigation and ran using her name. I am investigating the LA Sheriff Department.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but wait a minute. I want to make sure I'm understanding what you were just saying. So she says, as Attorney General, I'm not even going to investigate this. I'm not going to waste time. Then she
Mm-mm.
runs for senator and says, well, now I want an investigation.
Yes,
And
yes,
y'all sitting here wondering why I can't stand the Democrat. I'm
yes.
done. I'm done. I'm completely done.
Well, she ran against a Hispanic, Loretta Sanchez. I like Loretta Sanchez. She was a representative at that time. Mexican, Hispanic, like me. And so, I tell people, I say, well, wait a minute though. I voted for Kamala Harris as senator because she made some campaign promises, and one of them was justice for Mitrice. That case bothered me to no end. This was a case where Mitrice was arrested. She was having a manic episode. Her mother told them she needed her meds and to hold her until she could get there. And they said, come get her in the morning. She'll be here in the morning. You don't have to come out in the middle of the night. Just come get her in the morning. Her mother goes and picks her up in the morning. She's gone. They released her in the middle of the night. They released her in an area where there's wildlife. There's bobcats, there's mountain lions, there's coyotes. That's it's like, so anyway, her remains were found a year later in the hills near the sheriff's station. The coroner told the sheriff, don't go near those remains. I am going to go pick up those remains because it was found later in the evening. And he said, I'm going to go out in the morning and pick up those remains with my team. Don't touch the remains. They went out and removed the remains in violation of the coroner's director. So that's what Kamala Harris was going to investigate. Why did they go out there and remove the remains, when they were told not to? So it was just a terrible, tragic story. But originally she said she wasn't going to investigate it. And then the family put pressure. Then she ran for senator and she says, okay, I'm going to investigate it. She won the seat. She closed the case after she was elected. She closed the case, said no findings here. This LA Sheriff Department we have out here, it's been documented as of 2 years ago. We have gangs in the sheriff. There are sheriff gangs throughout the whole LA sheriff system. She could have made a difference in that. She could have shed some light on the corruption that's going on in that department through this investigation. If she shut down Lost Hills based on their corruption and not following their own policies with the Mitrice Richardson case, imagine how the impact on all of the LA Sheriff Department, and this whole deputy gang issue that we're still dealing with right now, where there's been recommendations. We got to close down the jails that are run by LA Sheriff because they're horrible. They're just, Black and brown people are dying in these jails. And she didn't do a damn thing.
You mean the darn thing?
No, sorry, I did it again.
Because she didn't want to. This is what I keep trying to tell people. They don't do things because they don't want to. This is the lady that literally said, "I'm for Medicare for all." Yet when she ran as president, now she's against it. She was against fracking. Now she's for. What's your stance? What's like where? I can't trust anybody that flips like that quick. Like,
yeah. Nope.
What's not
corruption? She was by the police associations too. In all her elections, she was in all her races. She was endorsed by police associations, ALADS. That's the Association of LA Sheriffs. Yeah. So
you think, and I live in conservative Indiana, and I'm like, we don't have it nearly as bad. I'm like, what is it? Oh
no! If you speak out, against it. It's like it can have some serious repercussion. That's why I admire, Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah. They speak truth to power to these things, and they put themselves on the line. But we got to speak out for people who are suffering right now, or the injustice in the case of Mitrice. And there were other things too. I had my own personal case. I wanted her as Attorney General, her office, to take up at the time. I thought it was a slam dunk case. It was to shut down a rehab center here in California. They were operating under a defunct nonprofit. This is easy for the Attorney General. Needs to go in and say, okay, you're taking money under a defunct nonprofit. You're not, and you're running a rehab center. You have no license to do that and to dispense medicine to people and give them treatment. They had no license for this. I gave them a clean cut case and they refused to investigate. And even then at the time, I said, okay, yeah, resources are tight. I realized maybe I didn't put enough evidence into this filing that I gave the Attorney General office. And yes, it was people under her that made the decision to not pursue the case. But people died in this rehab later. 2 people died. Girls were being raped by staff. And if they had just investigated it.
Yep, just a little investigation.
And, a lot of that could have been, avoided. But so it made me more resentful against her afterwards, that when just other stuff, came out.
The fake laugh, the word salad. The word salad. It's the word salad. Like, will you say something? Will you please say anything? I'll take anything at this point. Last question, because I did not realize we've been sitting here chit-chat for an hour. It's like time just kind of rolls by fast.
Yeah.
If you were going to tell someone, you're meeting your friends for coffee, and we're gonna just skip the vote blue no matter who crowd, because they're gone. They're never coming back until they have like that wake up moment. Because see, I think everybody has to have a wake up moment, like a moment where you're like, okay, this is it. They're just not there yet. I'll say that. But if you were talking to somebody who just has not voted, doesn't participate, didn't register, or stayed home, what one thing would you tell them about the Justice for All fake generic candidate?
I would say, listen, unless you're 100% happy with your life, you're 100% happy with your job, your home, your home, what you're paying, what you're paying for, and you're 100% happy with all of that. And what you see going on, around you. I wonder if they actually know a lot of what's going on around. But then come hear us out. If you have any concern about your own well-being, or your family, or your children too, their future, and if you have any concern that any of that can be taken away in a second, it can just be wiped out in a second, then come listen to our people, because they have been through a process where we have come together and realized that this is a real toxic political system we have here. It's based on racism, and we need to move away from it. And we have an alternative, but it's not going to happen unless we have your support. And if it's just going to, cast your vote just that one time, you can make a huge difference and change, not just for yourself, but for other people and the people you care for. If you care about anybody else and going through struggles right now, there is a better alternative.
Guys, it's been so great to talk to Rebecca. Like I said, I have yet to have a bad guest. I have not encountered a guest that has been like, oh, why did I get this person? All my guests, I always
Well, you have a theme pool to pick from from the committee.
Well, we're gonna keep expanding. If I had to, like I said, I brought back people several times, and I'm gonna keep doing it. Because we have work to do. And I always say, when it's not new. When we fight, we win. But we have to
I was
fight.
gonna wear that shirt, by the way.
Yeah, when we fight, we win, but we have to fight. We cannot.
Yeah.
Now is not the time. There's no time to ever sit back and just watch what happens. But guys, thank you for watching. Remember to join me tomorrow for Tracy's Week in Review. I got a show for you all tomorrow. Oh, I got opinions on everything that's happened this week. You do not want to miss it. It comes on 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
Remember that August the 30th is our fundraiser. We have actual acts. We got a comic. We got a rapper. We got a gospel group that's come. We've got a lot of things on the board, and I still haven't decided what my talent is going to be. I think I knew what I was going to do, but then I thought, ooh, I don't think I should do that. Because I was telling Paris and Tim, I was like, look, because I was like, I'm just going to read the gospel according to St. John. See, problem with me, I'm a church girl, right?
Yeah.
If I start reading, I'm gone. It's like, okay, it's going to be hard for me to hold back like that. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I still don't know what.
With a choir, or
I do not. Oh, I can't sing worth a lick. I'm a terrible singer. That doesn't stop me. What you say?
Everybody can sing. It's just you just got to find your part. I think you just got to.
My part is so low. No, so low nobody can hear me. I know the Bible says make a joyful noise, but I make a noise, but it's not. No, singing. I know singing is not going to be what I want to do, but I will do something. I just don't know what yet. We're going to have a great time. Remember, there are 297 days until our convention gathering in Columbus, Ohio. We cannot wait. We got a big, huge announcement on the 30th, coming the same day as the telethon. I'm going to do the outro before I keep babbling on. Okay. Thank you, Rebecca, so much for coming. The invitation is always open. You tell me the time, and I'll make accommodations, because I know you missed choir rehearsal. And I don't really like that because then somebody gonna say, "Well, she said," oh no. So I'm giving her that option. Thank you all for watching. I'll
Thank
see
you.
you tomorrow. I'm gonna do the outro. Have a fantastic week.
Okay.
And remember, when we fight, we win, but we have to fight.
Right.
We
Keep up.
have to keep up the fight.